Everybody, what's going on? Hope everybody is doing well. Just making sure everything is good. I'm about to share my screen with financial phenomenal freedom. What did I say? Phenomenal financial freedom. What's up? What's up? What's up? I don't know who's watching. Tell me who's watching. Homework, of course, is my book Phenomenal STEMist is available on Amazon as we speak. Yep. Talking about talking about infrastructure today. I don't know who's watching. Like I said, feel free to let me know. Infrastructure. Give people enough time to come on. I see a couple of people watching. Please tell me who's watching so I can converse with you. I'm not gonna start until you tell me who's watching. I'm just playing. I am just playing around. Phenomenal financial freedom. Come on, guys, get in the building. Get in the building. Give people a little bit of time to get on. Do you know about the infrastructure bill? Do you know what the infrastructure bill is about, guys? I'm doing research on my own. Listen, $1.2 trillion. $1.2 trillion. You gotta know what's, if they're taking tax money, our tax money to pay for this, our children's tax money, I hope that we will be able to benefit from it. And the only way to benefit from it is to basically dream. Dream about it. You know? What can you do? What can you do with this infrastructure bill? I sense a lot of articles on infrastructure, like what's in infrastructure. I'm trying to give my other computer enough time to come on, and basically what industries stand to gain from the infrastructure, and what jobs are going to grow because of infrastructure. And we'll start with what's in the infrastructure bill. What is in the infrastructure bill? The $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that was just passed in Congress is making its way to Senate. We have to get a little jump on it. We got to get a jump on it. So I would love to have discussion. I know a lot of you guys watch the replay, so feel free to do that. But those of you who join me live, please, let's talk about, let's um dialogue about what we can do as a community to get a piece of this pie. Don't too many times these bills come and impact the richest of Americans. They find out how they can get in on the pie. They create industries that can get contracts with the government to get a piece of the $1 trillion pie. I'm saying we like to just complain about how, these things are happening and businesses are the rich are getting richer and etc. like that. But I guess my question is, what are we doing? We are seeing these things happen. What are we doing to get a piece of the pie? All right. So here's what's in the infrastructure bill. I'm not an expert, but I'm just trying to read. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to read. Number one, money for transit and rail. This is crucial in the Florida area. Buddy Dyer and who's the Orange County mayor? He's slipping my mind. I'm just getting a little older. You know who I'm talking about. Sheriff Jerry Demings. I went to a meeting a couple of weeks ago with all the technology professionals, and they met with the mayors. We listened to what the mayors had to say, and the mayors of Orange County and Orlando, Buddy Dyer and Jerry Demings, met with technology business owners, and they said one of our main goals is transportation, wanting to be able to link the city. So I know they're going for a piece of the pie for the $39 billion to modernize public transit. I'm telling you, our mayors in Orlando, I don't know about wherever you guys are coming from, but those of you who are watching from Orlando, how can we be involved? How can we train our children? How can we train our friends to get in on the $39 billion that's coming to America just for transportation? And I tell you this, the mayors of Orange County and Orlando are going for that money because they believe one of the biggest problems in Orlando, it's booming right now. Everybody's coming to Orlando. They're trying to make Orlando and Orange County the next Silicon Valley. And in order to attract these businesses, they have to modernize transportation. I'm from New York. We get around, we get through the train system everywhere really easy. That's a problem in Florida, and they know that, and they are going to do something about it, and they're going to tap into the finances of American government, and they're going to contract out to businesses. Are you being prepared? Are you preparing your friends? Are you preparing your children for the increase of money that's coming for just transit? All right, number two, we're talking about what's in the infrastructure bill, the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Broadband upgrade. They're basically trying to get internet access to all communities of color, underrepresented communities who don't have access to affordable um, plans for broadband internet. So they're going to be rewiring. They're going to be creating ways to get internet all through the community. How are you going to empower the community to get access to the $65 billion? $65 billion is being flooded into the community. We can complain about inflation all we want, what we heard today. What are we going to do about getting access to the billions of dollars that are going to be funneled to communities? Training. Okay, number three. We're talking about what's in the infrastructure plan. Number three, upgrading airports and waterways. $25 billion are going to the airports. The construction of the airports. There's going to be need for all these engineers and construction workers, and all kinds of trades that play a role in building airports and waterways. $25 billion. How are you going to tap into that? What are you going to train yourself for now? Those of you who are unemployed, how are you train yourself to be of assistance to the upgrading of airports and waterways? Florida is one of the main ports of the country. They're going to spend $25 billion on airports, ports, and waterways. Who do you think the $25 billion? There is going to be a flood of money coming to the Florida area, y'all. Are you ready for it? Are you creating businesses that can contract for it? Or are you just going to let the money fly by? Number 4, electric vehicles. Electric vehicles. They're going to create buses, ferries that are electric. Interesting. What stocks are you buying that will boom because of the 65? No. This is 7.5, just $7.5 billion being put into electric vehicles. Improving power and waterways. They're going to rebuild the grid. They're going to need a whole bunch of electricians. You know, are you telling your children to get a trade plus a college education? Because electricians are going to be in high demand. They're going to spending $65 billion to rebuild the electric grid and build new power lines. Who's going to manage these companies? Who's going to design these power grids? It's people. People that needs to be trained to design. People that we need to be trained to do electrical work. People that need to be trained to do computer work that can man off cyber attacks, because many times the waterways are under the control of computers, and they're going to need engineers to develop those programs, and then they're going to need computer scientists to ward off attack, be able to find attackers, because that's what's been happening. They've been attacked by cyber attack. I mean, let me tell you something, guys. Are we preparing the next generation for the future jobs of America? Next one, environmental remediation, cleanup. $21 billion on cleaning up. Environmental engineers are needed. Environmental remediation. Environmental technicians are needed. All right. So this is the infrastructure bill. Hey, Curtis. Curtis says, I'm glad that you mentioned what stocks are we buying. Our piece of the pie is in the market. Do you do your due diligence and invest? Your money can work while you invest in yourself. Yeah, Curtis, I put on in Phenomenal Financial Freedom an article on the stocks that are going to increase. There are different ways that different people can capitalize on this bill, but we can't just watch the news and say, "Oh, these Democrats and Republicans," and get into the political debate and not the economic power base. Like, are you buying stocks? Anyway, yep, I put it in there. I put the stocks that some articles on stocks that are going to increase because of the infrastructure bill. That's one way for those of you like me who do not want to go back to school or get any type of training to capitalize. That's just one way to capitalize. All right, so that's that for the bill. All right, so I'm talking about multiple things today, and it's all having to do with how to capitalize on the infrastructure bill. Okay, so now that we know what's in the bill, I want to talk about ways that we can capitalize on it without changing our jobs. So, number one, I'm not going to become an electrician. I'm not going to become a construction worker. Okay. So, how am I going to capitalize on this bill? Like $1.2 trillion. That's a lot of money, guys. That's a lot of money coming out of our pockets. We better get engaged to reap the benefits of it, or it's going to go to a small percentage of people. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? So number one, as Curtis mentioned, just to remind you, those who were just joining, feel free to comment. I see a few of you on. Tell me who you are, where you watching from. Number one, stock market. Like, what stocks are set to boom because of this massive flooding of um money into a specific field, infrastructure. Okay, that's simple. Stock market. Outside of tips too, tips, inflation is off the chain. I have money in tips. That's very helpful. But then, okay, I was like, okay, what other ways? Like, Eric was like, man, I mean, I don't want to quit my job, but how can I get in on this or jump in on this? Yes, Curtis, I know you're coming from the NYC. The NYC. Good to see you. I said consultant. Consultant. So, what is a consultant? A consultant is basically a person that's paid a lot of money to to pitch ideas for excellence. To pitch ideas for excellence. So I want to talk about the 10 ways to become a consultant. So you're basically helping people with a problem. You're helping people with a problem that they need help with, and it's based on your expertise. So for instance, me, I am a professor of biology who's well known in the space of diversity, inclusion for underrepresented students, getting underrepresented students to be successful in STEM careers. Uh, I myself am an underrepresented person that has become successful in a STEM career, and my job is to train students on how to do that. And I have experience in doing that. I have grant experience in doing that, and at the national level, right? So I get invited to speak about underrepresented underrepresentation in STEM and ways to allow for success in these communities. How as a professor you can help and etc. So when I get called to talk, I get paid money to do that. You see that? And so how can I bring my consultancy to this field? Well, I just read earlier that there's going to be a requirement for a certain amount of diversity and inclusion in these fields. Like, contracts have to be given to a diverse amount of people, and you're trying to increase representation by broadband to specific people. They're going to need help in identifying ways to get it done. You see? So that's my way in terms of consultancy. Speaking engagements on how to recruit and retain members of the underrepresented community um in your company, in your field, right? So what do you need to do to be a consultant? You need to embrace the entrepreneurial mindset, meaning you can't just do a day job. You have to be willing to do a side hustle. Well, I know a lot of you are on phenomenal financial freedom, willing to do that. Number two, you need to identify your niche. I'm phenomenal STEMist. I'm the bridge for the underrepresented student in STEM. That's me. All fields. I do it via YouTube. I do it via I wrote a book about it. I have my professional career in it in terms of grant writing and National Science Foundation, And I get consultants sees all the time. People call me to speak at their engagement. You see them saying? So that's my niche. I'm sticking to it. I'm not going to be a construction worker. you know, what's your niche? What's your niche? Whatever it is, then there it is. Identify the problem. Number 3, identify the problem that you can solve. Is there something in the infrastructure system that has a problem? Seek out what the problems are in the different sectors, and then say that my niche can solve it. Number 4, create your value proposition. Like, tell them exactly how you can help them. Build your online hub, like a website or something, or your social media. uh these are some examples. The key thing is you need to first find out what the problem may be. What are some problems that would may be seen in this infrastructure bill that you can solve? And then you can do it through consultancy. I think those are the two main ways. Those are the only two ways a professional like me, who doesn't want to get into the dirtiness of the infrastructure game, but still wants to capitalize on the 1.2 trillion dollars. I'm thinking consultancy, stock market. All right. Lastly, I see about 6 of you guys watching. Who are you? And you're staying. Talk to me. All right. So lastly, I want to share my screen. I want to share the different charts that I showed earlier on phenomenal financial freedom. So the first chart I'm going to share is this chart right here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it. Good, you can see it. Okay. The fastest growth, those of you who have children, this is for those of you who have children. Those of you who have children from K through university, you need to help them peep this game. They gotta peep this game, y'all. No time for games. You gotta get your kids trained in trades, y'all. It's the future. It's this. Listen, number 1, the fastest growing occupations projected from 2016 to 2026 for the next 10 years, within 5 years, right? It's 2021. Okay. So within the 5 years, environmental engineering technicians, I told you they're about to spend 25 billion on environmental cleanup. Electrical power line installers and repairers, pile driver operators, HVAC techs, meaning heating, air conditioning, refrigeration, mechanical installers. Every building that is an infrastructure structure that's going to be created, especially in Florida, is going to need HVAC techs to regulate those things. Plumbers, pipe fitters, steam fitters, pipe players. These are all people who work with their hands. People that help the pipe layers and plumbers and pipe fitters. Drillers, wind turbine service technicians, solar installers. Look at the massive increase of jobs within the next 5 years that will occur, especially when this bill gets passed. They're going to be looking to throw money at people who are skilled in these fields. Get your kids, especially the ones that like to work with their hands. Don't force your kid into college. It's a new day. Don't force your kid into college. If they don't want to go to college, they like to work with their hands, they don't want to sit for a humanities class, don't force them to college. Definitely don't pay thousands of dollars in debt for some liberal arts degree that not going to get them a job. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Forgive me. I hate to sound judgmental. Sister Peggy! Hey, hey, hey. How are you? Yeah, yeah. When I said dirty, I'm sorry, not necessarily dirty. Just, when I say dirty, I'm talking about New York dirty. You know what I'm saying? Physical, manual labor. Okay. Like, that's not, or womanual labor. That's funny, Curtis. All right. Next one. Next chart I want to show you. I want to show you this chart, right? Let me share my screen for the second chart. Second chart, number 2. This is occupations that add the most jobs, that will add the most job in the next 5 years. These are a little bit more professional, that may require some college. Cost estimators, civil engineers, construction managers, like, if you're into management and you have that skill of managing people, you can manage anything. Head to start internships in a construction company instead of heading to manage whatever. All kinds of engineers, every single engineer to think of, it's going to be crazy in the next 5 years. At HVAC techs again, electricians, right? Same, steam fitters, construction workers, carpenters. It's going to be booming within this 5 years. And the beauty of this is that you don't need much training. You don't need much training. Let me share my screen with you. My last chart. You don't need much training. How much training do you need? To be architects and civil engineers and construction managers and all kinds of engineers, yes, you're going to need a college degree. You're going to need it. So focus on that. Send your young child, start preparing your sons and your daughters for these jobs if they want it. And when they go to college, make sure that they get internships while they're in college. You can't become these engineers and architects, etc., without prior experience. So while you're in college, you're gonna have to get an internship. And I want you to tell them to consider getting an internship in infrastructure. Because once you get the internship and the college degree in infrastructure, when you get out of college, they're gonna soup you up, because there's a flood of money for the next few years in infrastructure. Okay, but look, there's only a couple that need only 3 that require bachelor's degrees. Everything else is an associate's degree or less. So all the HVAC techs, environmental technicians, etc., you only need like a post-secondary or associate's degree. You could go to a community college where it costs you probably $4,000 for the whole year. You get Pell Grants for that. Like, most people don't get loans when they go to community colleges. It's when you try to go away to school to some non-state university, private probably, that's going to cost you $40,000 a year. Community colleges cost $4,000 a year. Okay. And so not only can you get that degree, you can finish And then as soon as you finish, they're gonna soup you up. They don't need any type of internship, residency, nothing. They need your skill set, right? The wits, and then look, everybody else is high school. Look at this. All the other stuff is high school plus intern plus basically on the job training. So you can in within 6 months get these certifications, whether it be for the power lines, the pipe layers, the construction workers, all that stuff. Probably takes about 6 months to get training in it, and everything else is on the job. I really believe that you should get a associate's degree while you do these certifications. That helps you say that you have college level learning, and that can help you get into more management positions. But I don't think it's necessary, especially if you, let's say you're older. If you're younger, you can tell your son to get these trades and do the degree at a state college. You come out debt free. You come out debt free. Listen, y'all. Man, oh man. I really believe in this stuff. I don't know. What about you guys? I think you just need to, number one, know what's coming down the pike. Number two, know what your niche is. Number three, train your children. That's how the community is going to come out of poverty. We can't just sit back and watch millions of dollars get flooded into the economy and we don't jump in and take a piece of the pie. We got to get a piece of the pie. That song, Finally Got a Piece of the Pie. Finally got a piece of the pie. It's time. It's time we do that. All right. Guys, it's been great talking to you. I hope whatever I talked about made sense. Thank you, Sister Carter. Um, what's your niche? And jump in, jump in, jump in. All right, guys, have a good night.